Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. You're watching the News Night and I am Deepthi Sachdeva. Even as we speak, there are reports now coming in that the US President Donald Trump has returned to the Situation Room. So he right now is in the Situation Room. What is happening? You're looking at the story developing fast. The Iran-Israel war has completely expanded because all that you are seeing is a lot of action. Remember, the supreme leader of Iran is still missing. No word from him. The Israeli strikes have deepened and Iran has just drawn a blood red line. And I'm very careful of the kind of words we are using. And Donald Trump, in fact, the warning that they are giving is that Mr. Trump, you started it, we will end it. This is Iran telling the US. The same US whose President Donald Trump right now is in the Situation Room. Could there be some action? Could there be more strikes? We do not know, but we are getting you those breaking updates. Every American citizen also, they say, or even a soldier in the Middle East is now a target. Is regime change still in motion? Is it happening? Could it already be underway as we speak? Because we do not know where the Iranian supreme leader is. Will Trump strike back? Will he strike back again? And are Russia and China just watching, or they are also preparing to move? All question marks, big question marks. So tonight, look at the players we are talking about. We are talking of Tehran, we are talking of Tel Aviv, we are talking of Donald Trump in the Situation Room and the brink of this global conflict. The fuse is lit. What could happen next? And where is the supreme leader? No one knows about him. Regime change, successor, a lot of being discussed. But quickly, let's get you the breaking update coming in on top of the show as the story is developing fast. And like I said, the US President Donald Trump is all set to enter the Situation Room is what we are learning. The US officials actually say that the Trump administration could be preparing for a possible Iranian retaliation against American bases in the Gulf following some recent strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Let me decode this story for you. What has happened is that there has been a lot of chatter of an American base in Syria that possibly has been hit by Iran. There is no confirmation, these are reports. And now there are reports also saying that there could be a retaliation and the president of the US, Donald Trump, is going to be looking at some kind of action. Qatar, in the meantime, has shut down its airspace. I think we have some more videos and audio tapes that we can play out for you right away.
من هدف مشروع ایران هستند. آمریکا با این اقدامی که انجام داد علیه ایران و حریم هوایی ایران را شکست و جنایت علیه ایران انجام داد دیگه جایی در منطقه غرب آسیا نداره. آقای رئیس جمهور آمریکا، شما شروع کردید و ما تمومش خواهیم کرد.
Now, let me quickly recap what you have seen. This is an Iranian news station that has claimed that we will strike against America. But let's go back to those breaking updates and we'll fire that breaking for you also on our screens right now. Qatar has already shut down its airspace, and on your screens are more details of the US military bases. Now, there are a lot of options that Iran can exercise right now, and I'm going to tell you about that also very shortly. I also want to ask our team if they can play out more breaking updates on this story. Donald Trump has also taken to the social media a little while earlier where he's responded to that charge and that report that has come in that Russia, remember, could offer its nukes to Iran. Will that happen? Will we see Russia getting into this war much like America has gone into this? And what happens to the escalation from here on? Multiple details also right now coming in of what possible action could be taken as far as this story is concerned. And Qatar, like I said, has shut down its airspace. An imminent threat of the Iranian strikes are a what of lot of news reportage are actually talking about. They say that there is a threat of strike on the US base in Qatar. And even as we speak, like I said, that there are reports that Donald Trump is going to be reviewing the situation. He's going to be back in the Situation Room. What could this mean? I will also tell you more about the war updates that we have for you. Through the day, there have been a lot of these dramatic images that have come in. A prison has also been under the target. A plant has also been under the target. And what different news agencies are saying is that an American base in Syria has already been attacked. Is this true? We do not know, but if this entails to a huge escalation, and then will Donald Trump continue to be silent? Will he just be watching this? Most likely no. Could there be action? And could this mean that you will see a full-blown regional conflict? Let me see if we can actually pull up more details for you here. I want to talk about the options before Iran and also the quick war updates, if we can play them out, please, for you. Looking at all the updates that have come in the last few hours on this entire story, but also reports of the military sites of the Hezbollah that have been attacked. Now, you would recall Hezbollah, Houthis are all the proxies of Iran. And there are reports that even they have been struck. So this is an action moving very, very fast. On your screens, I think, are images earlier of the missiles that were also launched. I'm told that the IDF is actually speaking about the strikes earlier on the Hezbollah teams there, and there is already a warning to Tehran. I want to play out the options before Iran, before I get in our guest also on this story. And the options before Iran, remember, now are limited, but there are three large options if you look at the entire story. The first is a full-blown military escalation. Is Iran prepared to do this? Does Iran have the wherewithal to put that out? Does it have the resources? Will it be doing this all alone, or will you see Russia and China also getting into this war? Now, through the day, you have seen those images, and if we can put that out, also of Russia and Iran, the new bonhomie, the new axis that already is known to the world, but that axis continues to become stronger. And on the bottom of your screens are more updates as far as the story is concerned. And that's the moment where you have seen Russia standing with Iran. And in all inclination, what you can also understand that in case there are world capitals who need to take a side, most probably you will have Russia and China looking at standing with Iran. Now, the IDF in the meantime has asked Tehran residents to evacuate. So multiple details right now coming in. Donald Trump about to enter the Situation Room. You have the IDF that actually says the citizens must evacuate specific areas. Reports also saying that the US base in Qatar possibly could be looking at some kind of action. Now, will that happen? And American military base, has it been struck? There is no official confirmation, but these are reports right now coming in. And let's see if we can put out details of the military bases of the US. When it comes to the Middle East, there are multiple of them. Remember, about 40 to 50,000 personnel, along with a lot of weapons, armory, machinery, that could also become the potential target in case Iran has already escalated this situation. Let me get in James Borden, who's an Arab and a Middle East expert, and we'll keep these breaking updates up on our screens. James, thank you for your time and thank you for speaking to us here on NDTV. It's an active situation right now. There are major updates coming in. Donald Trump about to enter the Situation Room. There are reports of a US military base, possibly that has been struck by Iran. You could be looking at a retaliation by the US. What is about to happen, James?
Well, and please understand, I'm drinking from the same fire hydrant that you are as far as information and updates are concerned. And so hearing that Trump is entering into the Situation Room would largely confirm in my mind that there has been an actual strike in Syria, or that they know that there is a batch of missiles on their way to that base. Also knowing that Qatar has closed its airspace and is trying to get that large amount, just vast amount of civilian traffic out of the way, also speaks to the fact that they likely have already had communication that says there is going to be a strike within a certain time frame within the next hour or two, I would imagine. So right now, as you said, it's a very complex, very dynamic environment. I'm watching some of these updates that you are actually providing and just considering here the possibilities. It definitely seems that Israel is going to ramp up its attacks, and moving these residents out of Tehran speaks to either a larger number of sorties against individual targets, or they could be going to an escalatory level in a single response. I'll just put it that way.
James, even as we are having this conversation, there are multiple breaking updates coming in. And I want to talk about this particular video also that we see on our screens. And I'm going to request our team to keep putting out more details for the benefit of our viewers. We'll also get James back on the conversation. We have multiple graphics to also tell you what could be the options before Iran. And James, this is the real issue. Either a military escalation, or Iran could just sit back and perhaps look at exerting more pressure on the US through channels like the UN, through Russia, through China. A lot of these options that we have seen, or a hybrid retaliation that could be, in terms of attacking their US military defense installations. But when you go in for something like this, James, I also want to talk about these top 5 war updates before I come back to you. The IDF has issued evacuation orders to the residents there. And likewise, you have seen a lot more updates that are firing, and we'll keep it fast, please. The Russian president has earlier met the Iranian FM. Those are images also up on your screens. And clearly the indication is that in case it goes to a full-blown situation, Russia is standing with Iran. Iran, in the meantime, has targeted a power station. In fact, that's the video also on your screens. And Israel targeted an Iranian prison. Now, who was housed in this prison? There are a lot of opposition leaders. Could they be out? What could this entail? So you're looking at a lot of stories happening right now. And Iran has also said that will make the US pay directly for the attack. They have said that every American citizen and every soldier in any of the bases that is belonging to the US and anywhere else, the US will have to pay a price. James, there is a clear escalation between yesterday and today. Do you believe that Iran has become more dangerous?
I do, and I see that they are amping up their response. They've been on the back foot for quite a bit of time now, and they have been trying to mobilize their resources. And I would now expect to see a little bit more likelihood of even activating cells or individuals here in the United States or in places like Great Britain, Sweden, other countries where you might have targets of opportunity or soft targets where they could send lone wolf attackers to shoot at Jewish synagogues or attack individuals who are very high profile in the Jewish community. This is probably the most dangerous period. We may also see in some believe that there might be a cyber response initiated against various countries. Now, we know that the United States and Israel have been engaged in a almost 24-hour, 7-day-a-week cyber warfare with Iran. But I think that at this point, it's going to be amped up, and we'll see a lot more of that take place. As far as the Middle East and kind of constricting that circle, it looks like Iran is just able to launch missiles at this point. I know that there has been some concern about shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, but so far we've not seen that. And I do believe that the U.S. would be able to quickly address that situation.
All right, James, allow me a moment, because we are also talking of the Iranian Supreme Leader. Where is he right now? What do we know about him? And what has happened to the top leadership? This is also an important question. And earlier, we have seen a lot of these responses that have come into the US that possibly still talk of a regime change. So could that still be in motion? I'm just going to take a moment, James, and I'm requesting you to stay with us as we will move now to discuss what possibly could happen. So we will build up this entire tree to help you understand. The first image that you see on your screens is the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah, who is right now alive. But where is he? No one knows. He's said to be in a bunker, highly fortified, guarded well right now. But if you look at how this story will move, there are now 3 images on your screen. So we'll go in from the extreme left. This is Major General Ghulam Ali Rashid, the commander of the Khamenei Anbiya Central Headquarters. He has been neutralized. He is no more. The other man that you see on your screens, again, very, very close to the top leadership, is Major General Hussein Salami, the IRGC chief, and he has also been neutralized. The third image is Major General Mohammad Bagheri, the chief of Iran's military. Again, he's been neutralized in this strike. If you go further, and this is only to help you understand the expanse of what Iran today is dealing with. We'll again go on the left. This is Major General Amir Ali Hazida, the IRGC Aerospace Force Commander. He has been neutralized. He is no more. Brigadier General Ismail Khani, the IRGC Force Commander, he is alive as we speak. The other important man that we are talking about is Brigadier General Mohammad Kazemi, the IRGC Intelligence Chief. Again, he has been neutralized. So this entire expanse is to help you understand that is the top leadership in Iran right now crumbling. And where is Ayatollah? That's a question that continues to be asked. And also, in case there is a regime change, is that possible? What are the challenges in terms of a regime change? Is it that easy? How can that be done? And not to forget the successor also of Ayatollah. Because clearly there are a lot of these names that have been discussed. I'm going to get you details of that also in just a moment. And I want to go back to James. James, we were just looking at this entire flow chart to help our viewers understand how the top leadership of Iran right now is crumbling. Where is the supreme leader? No one knows. Said to be in a highly fortified bunker. But do you believe that this entire conversation about a regime change is a real possibility? Could that happen?
Oh, absolutely. And I definitely believe that the Israelis, as I've been saying before, are waiting for him to activate a cell phone or use a personal computer, use a device that's going to send out an electronic signal to give away his position. And I do believe that they are continuing to hunt for him very actively. And let me just say that if he is still in Tehran, now they have had years to prepare for this, and they would likely have some means to exfiltrate him from Tehran and allow for some exit to a more secure location, likely in the far eastern part of Iran, because that appears to be a little bit out of Israel's strategic depth. But he is definitely, anywhere he goes, he is not going to stay in the same location for an hour or two put together. They're going to constantly move him around. He's going to not sleep in the same bed or stay in the same room for 1 hour to the next or night. And again, the Israelis will continue to hunt him. And I think that the United States will continue to use its SIGINT or signal intelligence assets right now are probably largely focused on Iran to assist the Israelis with finding anything that would provide disclosure of his location.
But how exactly could that happen? The road ahead is very, very difficult. There are a lot of challenges, even if one wants to neutralize the supreme leader. So let's even look at that detail for the benefit of our viewers to help them understand where possibly the story could move. So when you talk of the challenges are many. When you talk of Iran, you're looking at a lot of reasons and the successor. So I'm going to tell you about all that, and we'll put out those graphics now on our screens. What are the challenges to killing the supreme leader? The first important one that we just spoke about, he's protected by a shadowy elite unit that not even many know that exists. That is only and only for his protection. That's first important point. Let's bring up the next important detail also on your screens. Top Iranian officials have also been kept in the dark. So, if less number of people know about it, the chances of a leak obviously are minimal, and hence the safety of the supreme leader as far as he's concerned. He is apparently sheltered in a fortified bunker off the grid clearly telling you more of this high value asset that Iran has and something that US wants. You would remember Donald Trump had actually said that I know where the supreme leader is, clearly giving an indication that in case he wants to strike, he can, but he will strike at will. The next important point, he's surrounded by layers of the IRGC security. This is important. There are multiple layers of security. The surveillance is quite strong. We also did tell you that he doesn't have too many electronic communication gadgets around him. And this also tells you that the chances of surveillance get minimal. But will the US strike him? Could there be an update about him? Because we haven't heard about him. There have been a lot of concerns about his health, about a regime change, about his successors. And we'll also look at the successors possibly who could succeed. Who next after the supreme leader? This is all an important conversation. The first man that you see on your screens, his name is Mojtaba Khamenei. He is the second son of the supreme leader. What more do we know about him? He has deep ties with the IRGC and Iran's clerical establishment. A lot of names are being discussed. We'll go by these names one by one. Let's bring up the next name and the next picture that you must look at carefully. The name is Ali Reza Arafi. He's a trusted confidant of the supreme leader. What more do we know about him? He holds key positions, second deputy chairman of the Assembly of Experts. This is the importance of this particular phase, who could be a successor to the supreme leader. Let's bring up the next important detail also on your screens. Now, his name is Ali Asghar Hezazi. What is significant about this name and why possibly he could be a successor? He's a political security affairs official in Ayatollah's office. He's a powerful intelligence official that many believe could help him reach that top post. But again, will that happen? No one knows anything. The other name that is being discussed is Ali Akbar Velayati. He's a former foreign minister, said to be again very powerful and close to the supreme leader. Brings us to our next important name, and we've just picked up 5 of this because there has been a lot of conversation about a lot of names. Could it be someone not a part of the list? Most likely, but we have to see how the story moves, the story moving very, very fast. And I want to see if we can bring up the next picture. This is Mohammad Golpangni. He's a chief of staff in Ayatollah's office, again, most trusted. When you're talking of the Iranian supreme leader, James, clearly we do not know where he is. A regime change, no one knows if that could be possible. A lot of names of the successors and all are also being discussed. But what do you make of the entire sequence of events ever since the strike? Iran has also dared the US and it has said, we will hit back, we will strike back.
You have to remember that Iran has been full of bluster for many years. And they have been allowed to become something of a much bigger threat and the big bad bear in foreign policy circles. Iran talks a big game, and they have made some very spectacular attacks which have threatened the West and have influenced a lot of foreign policy. But we also have to remember that, again, they are very weak. They are at a much weaker position than they have been in many years financially. They have been racked by the sanctions that have been imposed upon them. Their military is incredibly underfunded, especially the traditional conventional forces. A lot of the majority of the funding has been going to their missile and nuclear program because their offensive strategy has been to reach out and hit Israel, their main opponent, from more proximate positions. And so they've allowed a lot of their military to atrophy. So yes, they've got a lot of bluster and they can strike in a lot of ways, but I don't want to overblow blow this out of proportion and say that Iran, can do something incredibly terrible. So we need to keep that expectation level moderate.
All right, and James, I must, share this information with our viewers that explosions are being heard in Qatar, according to most of the agencies. There are a lot of these breaking developments and updates that are also right now coming in, that Iran has retaliated against the US. Reports say, and I'm repeating this, the US base in Qatar has been attacked. Reports also say that Iranian agencies have fired missiles at the US base in Qatar, and that is why you have those strong explosions that have been heard in Doha. I want to see if we can actually put out the entire map graphics to help our viewers understand the US presence in the Middle East, where really are these bases. And then we'll also try to get our reporter live with us to get you these updates. And in the middle of this, we'll also talk about Russia, China, how far could they go? Qatar, in fact, has fired air defense to intercept the Iranian missiles, is what we are learning. Iran has struck the Al Udeid American military base in Qatar. Our reports coming in response to the US bombing at the nuclear sites. On your screens are those graphics that I'm just talking about, and I want to see if we can also take this on our big wall for more clarity. But there are multiple of these details that you will see gradually going in. Let's look at these sites we are looking at. Qatar, you have the Al Udeid Air Base. This is the largest US military base, 100 aircraft and drones, 8,000 troops, major air operations hub. The reports say that this is the base that possibly has been attacked. Again, like I said, these are reports coming in. We are still awaiting more details. But this, if has been hit by Iran, a clear escalation. We'll get you more details of where else do you have these bases of the US. In Bahrain, you have the naval support activity. This has about 9,000 personnel, and the US Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters is what you see here in Bahrain. We'll bring up the next important location here on this map as we will just zoom out. This is in Saudi Arabia. You have the Prince Sultan Air Base. This has about 2,700 troops, strategic air power base, again, of the US. Throughout the area, about 40 to 50,000 US personnel with a good amount of equipment, machines, is all located at these bases. We'll go to the next location also very quickly now, and this is Kuwait. In Kuwait, you have the Camp Arif Jan, located about 55 kilometers southeast of the Kuwait city, key logistics and the Joint Force Base. So let's, James, try and understand whether, if these reports are true, and if Iran really has struck the US military base in Qatar, this clearly means an escalation.
Oh, absolutely. And I think actually it's a mistake on the part of Iran, because Qatar has been working with Iran very closely. Qatar was actually kind of cut out of and pushed away from the GCC because of their close relationship with Iran. But with this violation of their sovereignty and airspace, I am hearing that, if I heard you correctly, that the Qatari Air Force is intercepting these missiles. This definitely shows that they are not supportive of what Iran is doing to the United States, and could actually draw the GCC countries into the conflict on their own. I would actually mention that there's a possibility of Qatar refueling these jets and then sending them on a retaliatory strike. If these missiles hit Doha and not just the American base, then that's just going to be a huge red line for the region. They have been trying to balance between these two incredible forces, between Israel and Iran, and the Gulf countries, they don't want a hegemonic Iran, and they don't want a hegemonic Israel, and they're trying to keep these balances, and they are always getting caught in the crossfire. And they have been preparing for a long time with developing very heavy Air Force components to keep Iran at bay. So this is a very significant development, and watching what will happen with the United Arab Emirates, who they have been, the UAE has been addressing threats as far away as Africa, the Horn of Africa and Somalia. They also participated against Yemen when Saudi Arabia attacked them, and Yemen is an Iranian ally. So very complex set of events happening and unfolding right now. And I would definitely wait for that next shoe to fall.
All right, James, it's a fast developing story. Again, reports coming in that Al Arabia says here that Iran has also launched missiles at the US bases in Bahrain and in Kuwait. And Donald Trump is expected to be in the Situation Room in the next 5 minutes. Even as we speak, the US jets are scrambling over Saudi Arabia, and Iran has launched 10 missiles towards the US base in Qatar, is what we are learning. All these details are flashing on your screens. Reuters says explosions have been heard over Doha. Initial details, but important for you to look at the context, the impact. We'll also try to get our reporters live to get you exactly more perspective to this. But also the Iranian agency reports the initiation of Operation Annunciation of Victory, targeting the US military bases in both Iraq and Qatar. I'm told Vishal is with us. Vishal, what more do we know?
So, Dipti, this was widely expected because Iran had been clamoring about this ever since this conflict started about 10 days ago. When Israel first bombed Iran territory, they had been blaming the US for these attacks. They had been saying Israel wouldn't have gone through with this plan if US had not supported them. And now US is fully involved in this war. So Iran was totally prepared, and Iran has launched fresh attacks, retaliated against the attack that US conducted just a few days ago, just 2 days ago, actually. So this goes to show that Iran had in its arsenal the preparations, the missiles. The ballistic missile program in Iran is already quite strong. They have reportedly 20 to 30,000 ballistic missiles. It remains to be seen the damage that they have done when they have launched these new attacks. As you mentioned, they have been sending missiles to Bahrain, Qatar. It remains to be seen the damage done. But in the Middle East, to give you a perspective, there are at least 26 to 27 US bases all over the region, housing 40 to 50,000 troops. So that gives you a scale of damage these missiles can do. But at the same time, a lot of evacuation operations had been conducted in the last week in preparation for these scenarios. So it has to be seen in the next few hours or so as to what kind of damage has been done.